All right, we're back. We're going to do Weller 12 year today. And full disclosure, this is like the third time I've recorded this intro. Here we go. Okay. Oh, man. It takes a little bit swinging back into this. It's been a while. I missed you guys. It's been like at least 6 months. I feel like I have failed you. I feel like I've done a disservice to our community. But we're back now. We'll see what happens, right? So it's been a busy year. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I've been eating. I'm fat.
Look at me, I'm a big fat slob. I can't stop eating. I eat because I'm unhappy. And I'm unhappy because I eat.
I'm working on it. I'm doing my best to get healthy. It's the new year. This is when everybody does that thing that everybody does and swears they're going to be healthier and they're going to drop weight. And I yo-yo. I've had a problem with my weight since I was a child. So let's see what happens. Clearly, I'm stung by bees currently. But it's been a busy year. I started a new podcast called Those Who Do the Podcast. Basically, it's conversations with people about what makes them human. Hobbies, careers, interests. We talked to a lot of really cool people. Talked to Jorge Garcia from Lost. We talked to Joe Stillman, who wrote Shrek 1 and 2, Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, The Adventures of Pete and Pete. And then he also has a new book available at all fine booksellers called The Man Who Came and Went. And he's just a sweetheart of a dude. We talked to an Army Ranger who was on the mission to rescue Jessica Lynch, which totally dates me. Because if you're under, 30, 35, anything like that, you have no idea what I'm talking about, which is fantastic. And I'm a grandpa and I'm old. And look at all this white. It's not even gray, it's white. Bert. Get out of there. He's a garbage eater and he's a poop eater. And other than that, he's a great little dog. He doesn't bark, nothing. But good Lord, man, get out of the garbage. So I'm very proud of this podcast. The look and sound of the podcast is probably going to change. It's available at Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get your pods casted. The first 10 episodes are out. Please give it a listen. The sound and feel of the podcast is going to change a little bit going forward because unfortunately Tony Forsmark, who was my co-host and honestly the heart of the podcast, as he would have liked to have told you, I was just the engineer and I was hurtful. But he thought it was hilarious. Would tell everyone. God damn it, Tony. He unfortunately suffered a massive stroke at the beginning of the month of December and passed away December 22nd. I plan to continue doing the podcast because he believed in the show and he believed in me even when I didn't. So we're gonna continue doing the show, but it's gonna sound and feel probably a little bit different. I don't know how it couldn't without him. But he was one of my absolutely best friends in the whole world, and truly more like a brother. So not to bring everybody down, but just kind of wanted to give you a little insight into what's been going on in my life. We're gonna move forward here, and we're gonna talk about guys, dogs. Stop it, Jesus Christ. We're gonna talk about this Weller 12. I'm excited about it because I'm not going to lie, I had a little nip. Just a little nip. And I like what I have so far. So, my dog decided right now was the best time to play with a plastic water bottle. And basically make it sound like it was the entire house was falling down. All 14 pounds of him and stupidity. Meanwhile, the big one's right here. He's sleeping because that's what good dogs do. He's being office dog, studio dog. I would love to show you. But the cameras don't point that way right now. All right, so we're going to get into this Weller 12. Like I said, full disclosure, since I said we already did the intro 72 and a half times, we're just going to start out with just a little nip of this, because I've kind of already been here once. All right, almost made it. Almost made it without a drippy droppy. A drizzle, Snoop Dogg's favorite whiskey. So, now, what happened to that glass? All right. First thing I notice is the color. It's a really light caramely color. Looks like it's a little oily. It's got a little bit of leg on it, okay, which to me makes it a little easier drinking. It just kind of slides. I'm going to tell you right now, it has no ethanol smell to it, none at all.
It ain't got no gas in it.
Which is nice, because you don't want to go in for that first drink of a whiskey and it just be like, but so it does not. Ooh, there's a little caramel, a little vanilla, which they're supposed to be. Now this is a wheated bourbon, and what that means is they replace the rye. They sub wheat in for the rye. It has to be 51% corn, so that the mixture of the corn and the wheat makes it have a sweeter taste. It's also finished in oak casks. Now it definitely has a sweet start to it. The thing that bothers me a little bit about it is it's not terribly complex. The aroma is almost smells like cookies. Ooh, got a little bit of model paint, or maybe it is getting a little ethanol to it. I don't like model paint or glue. That's kind of weird. I don't like that. The flavor is just not overtly complex. I don't know that this could be a daily drinker for me. I like it. What I like about it is it's a winter whiskey to me. Almost immediately makes you warm. And not in like a really uncomfortable way, but like a, oh man, it's cold outside. Let's have a nip of whiskey, go out and run the snowblower, or go out and walk the dog or something like that. It just warms you up. Or maybe when you come back in. Now, full disclosure, I did have nachos for supper. So it's hitting my gut a little weird, but that can't be, you can't blame the whiskey. And you're like, look at that guy. Does anything hit his gut weird? Looks like everything hits his gut just fine. So going off of the neatness, going off of drinking it neat, flavor-wise, I'm going to give it a 7. It's just not overtly complex. Everybody that I talked to said, oh my God, you're going to be in for a treat. But there's just not a real complex flavor to this. So I'm going to give it a 7. Now, that being said, I am going to throw this on some ice and see what happens. Made some of that there. Jeremy Sires clear ice. Let that sit for a minute. No bark. So, how have you guys been? I think you should tell me in the comments. You can also email me at misinformationproductions@gmail.com. Drop us a line in the comments. Don't forget, this is a perfect time to remind you, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell button so that you're notified about every video that comes out, now that we actually do videos again. And try to watch some of the other videos on the channel. We've got some great videos on whiskeys. We got Woodford Reserve, Old Forester, Wild Turkey 101, Metallica's Blackened, Tullamore DEW 14 year. What else we got? I'm just looking around here. Blantons. Ooh, got a really good video on the flavored whiskey that made me want to die. That was fun. Did the Rebel Stowe toasted pecan. Still having nightmares about that. But yeah, make sure that you drop us a comment. Tell us what your favorite daily drinker is. God, that clear ice really turns out nice, doesn't it? Is that not the prettiest thing you've ever seen? You can barely even tell there's ice in there. Also, I wish it would stop focusing on my face so that this wasn't, you know. This has been sitting on ice for a while. Let's try it. Well, you know, I know there are a lot of purists out there that are like, oh, I have to drink my whiskey neat, and only a man put chest hair on you and whatnot, and only a man drinks his whiskey neat, and you put a spoiling ice block in there, and you might as well be a girl. Well, that's, you know what, it's simply not the case. Okay? This makes this so incredibly smooth that I could end up in a coma later tonight. This is just chilling it ever so slightly and adding that just tincture of water to it. Still not an overly complex flavor. I would say Buffalo Trace, Woodford, Wild Turkey, everything else that I've tried in the past, except for maybe the Tullamore DEW, which is an Irish whiskey anyway, so it's not a bourbon, has a more complex flavor profile than this does, but holy cow, that's doing it on ice really changes things. God, it's almost refreshing. Well, anyway, I bump it up to an 8 after you throw some ice, throw it over some ice, because I think it really smooths everything out. Like, there's absolutely no ethanol burn now. I'm getting a little bit of corn now, a little bit of vanilla. None of that airplane glue or paint smell that I was smelling before, which must have been a little ethanol-y, but this is smooth now. Neat, we're going to go with a 7. On rocks, we're going to go with an 8 easily. I know it's been a while, but you guys know that I'm a sucker for a bottle. This is a fairly pedestrian run-of-the-mill bottle. Matter of fact, I guarantee you there's something else over here the same shape-ish. I mean, roughly, the Revelstoke has the bulbous neck. This tapers a little bit more. Where are we at here? Oh, there we go. This tapers a little bit more than the Revelstoke, but it's just a pretty standard bottle. Not identical to anything else that's on the shelf, but close enough that I'm not super impressed. Again, the label is fairly common. Nothing to write home about, right? The script, the font, everything's fairly common. I do like the black label to it, the black and the gold, although possibly Iowa Hawkeye colors. I'll still allow it, but nothing to write home about. I mean, I'll just give it a solid, I would say 5, but giving anything a C seems rude to me unless it's just garbage. So I'll give it let's give it a 6. A 6 for label design. It's clean. Everything's clean. Oh, I didn't read you the funds. Okay. Born in 1825, William LaRue Weller was one of the early whiskey pioneers in America. W.L. Weller marketed his original bourbon recipe with wheat rather than rye. In the mash bill, Weller spent his lifetime educating consumers about the differences in his bourbon. Wheat is a soft grain, providing this bourbon with a mild, gentle, and smooth sipping experience. Weller also believed in the importance of aging his whiskey. This fine 12-year-old bourbon whiskey has a deep amber color with complex flavors of vanilla, oak, and cinnamon. A tribute to the man who made wheated bourbon legendary. I don't feel comfortable calling it complex. I don't. I feel like those flavors are on the label more so than in the bottle. But again, maybe my palate is just not developed enough yet. And I've been drinking Buff Trace pretty much exclusively in a little Blantons. So I've been off of the varied whiskey bandwagon for a little while. I've just been drinking what I know I like. But now that we're back into this, I'm going to be trying new things. I don't dislike it, man. Like, I'm not saying I do, but it's just, I think they're upselling their product a little bit in the description, which is marketing, right? That's what you do because you want to make money and sell your product. So we're going to give flavor neat 7, flavor on ice 8, packaging bottle allure 6. But congratulations on the upsell on the back. Price, no idea. It was free, so that's a 10. Right? In the comments, maybe you guys can tell me what you're paying for the Weller 12 at your local. And then we can discuss whether it's a reasonable price or not. If I was going out to buy something like this and had to pay over $60, over $60, I'd be real disappointed. There are other bourbons out there for less that have a lot more complex flavor profile, a lot richer flavor to them. Obviously, I'm going to keep going back to Buff Trace because that's my daily drinker. That's my favorite thus far. There's just more to it than there seems to be to this bottle of Weller. Price is a 10. As usual, if you enjoy what we do here, please do a like, a follow, subscribe, bell ringy dingy. And also take a look. You can't really look at it because it's an audio podcast. Take a listen to those who do the podcast. I think you'll enjoy it. It's fun. It's funny. It's vulnerable. It's deep. We get into some really personal conversations with folks that are not exploitive or like gotcha moments. It's just natural conversations where they go. I'm going to be honest, like it has been so comfortable and so fun. I've made friends, lifelong friends from this podcast. It's been a really, really good experience. Weller 12, you might like it more than I do. It's not gonna change my life, but it's a good whiskey. So thanks for watching as always, and love you.